Okay, first of all, I would like to make it clear that this is actually our second time recording this, because last time I did it, it was 11 minutes long. So I'm going to be real quick and concise. It's going to happen. Okay, so what happened in this episode? It starts out in the parking lot at the hospital. They're getting on a bus, like an airport shuttle, because they're going to go to the airport to go to their doctor test. And by they, let me clarify that what I mean is all of the residents. So, well, all the residents that are like, I don't know, do you say graduating, leaving, whatever, going to different programs, taking their boards. So, they're waiting on Alex because he's being all late and he's like trying to help with a baby that was there a couple episodes ago that was kind of a big deal because everyone thought that him and the mom were romantically involved, but they weren't, and so she was confused and he was confused and no one knew what was going on. Moral of the story is he sort of got separated from that, but now he's kind of back involved. So they're waiting on him because he's trying to look at the baby. Okay. So they all get on the bus. Meanwhile, April is also freaking out. April is, if you don't know who April is, I'm sorry. April is kind of freaking out, and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to fail. Owen's like, no, you're a soldier, which is his word for saying, like, oh, you're a trauma surgeon, I guess. I don't know. Maybe they just say that. So, yeah. So they're on the bus. Come back to them later. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Meredith almost didn't go because she thought, well, because Zola has a flu. So she's like, oh my gosh, I'm a mom. I should stay with my kid. Well, presumably that's her thought process because she didn't want to go. So they leave Zola. Wait, they don't. Meredith leaves Zola like in the childcare center with Derek, not just like alone. Anyway, so also, what else happens in the hospital? Oh, throughout there is interaction between Lexi and Mark, which hasn't been happening for a long time because Lexi's still like in love with him, and Mark was being awkward / is so broing out with Avery all the time that he doesn't know what to do. Okay, so they get to. All the board-taking doctors get to the hotel in someplace in California where they're taking the test, and they're trying to register, and Meredith's like, ooh, I don't feel so good, and they think she means at first, like, oh, I'm really nervous, but then she's like, nope, vomit all over in the lobby. And this is because she also has the flu now. That's kind of how these things work. So everyone's like, oh, stay away, don't get me sick, no good. So they're all registering. Also, you find out that Avery has a lucky pencil because his mom is there. And it's kind of how it happens. Like, anyway, so his mom is coming to be a tester person. What are those called? Proctor. Thank you. A proctor. And she's like, do you want me to give it to you? You always say you don't need it. And you're like, what is she talking about? And then Alex is like, what? What is going on? In his very Alex sort of way. And so Avery's like, it's my lucky pencil. Like, he doesn't talk like that. I used it for the SATs and the MCATs and et cetera, et cetera. Yay. Okay, good. So he still doesn't have the lucky pencil. He goes back and gets it later. Ooh, that's important. I forgot that in the last summary. Okay. There's a reason I do these things twice. So then they all check into their rooms. Also in the lobby, April runs into this guy whose job she accidentally took from some place in Texas. So he's kind of like real Southern. And, yeah, and he's all like, she doesn't know she took his job until she's like, oh, hey, you're from this place. I just got offered a job there. And he's all like, that was my job. What you doing? So they're not friends. Okay. Basically nothing really happens from there on out in the hotel until like later on because there's a brief bonding with Christina and Meredith, and with Christina's like taking care of her even though she's sick and is afraid of getting sick. And then later on they have more bonding, like where Meredith's in her hotel room and Christina's sitting outside like on the door, and they're both like talking about how Owen cheated and Christina doesn't know what to do and they might be totally separated next year and like they don't talk on the phone, what are they gonna do? And then they wind up like holding hands under a hotel door. First of all, what kind of hotel has doors that you can put your hands under? That, seriously, you didn't think about that one, Shonda. Okay, so think that through next time. Secondly, if you're intentionally trying not to get sick, why would you hold hands with a sick person? Like, Christina, you may be a heart surgeon, whatever that's called, cardio something surgeon, but you are clearly not thinking through basic disease protection. So maybe there's lots of hand sanitizer, I don't know. Alright, in the interest of time, so they bond. They wake up the next morning both sitting on the other sides of the door. Really dumb before you're about to take a big test. So, also when you have the flu. So meanwhile, April and Jackson Avery decide to go to the bar. They run into the guy whose job she took. He gets real confrontational and suggests that she got the job by sort of sleeping her way to it. And she's like, except she's April, so she doesn't do that at all. She just sort of turns around and punches him. Because she's kind of flipping out, hysterical. And so then she kind of keeps attacking him, and in walks the chief. Well, he's not the chief, Richard, ex-chief. And he's all like, what are you all doing? Because meanwhile, of course, Avery's kind of gotten involved and is like trying to help her out. And they're like, ha ha ha, and they like flee up to her room. Not the chief, just Avery and April. And so April is feeling very rule breaker-ish, rebel. And she's like, I don't care that I'm a virgin, let's, she doesn't say let's get it on. That's kind of the message. So, Jackson's all like, are you sure? Like, that's kind of awkward for me. And she's like, nope, let's go. So then that happens. In the meantime, simultaneously, I suppose, the chief and Jackson's mom have reunited because she hit on him that one time. He was like, I'm married, but now his wife with the Alzheimer's. So anyway, they get together. That's all you need to know. What I was saying about the magic pencil and how it gets it later is that then the next morning Jackson goes and knocks on her door, and the chief opens the door and he's like, I thought this was my mom's room, sorry. And he like turns around and he's like, no, wait. And then his mom opens the door and he's like, oh my gosh. So anyway, he gets his magic pencil. Then also the next morning, later on, they're all in their suits. They're going to take their doctor test. I forgot to say that Alex also left earlier because he went back to the hospital to be with the mom of the baby, who then later dies, and that's very sad.
Baby, not mom.
Yeah, the baby dies, not the mom. So he comforts her, tries to get back in time for the test. But they're all lined up, fancy outfits, ready to take the test. Their proctors are coming out and calling them. April, meanwhile, Jackson comes downstairs and he's like, hey, she won't talk to him. He's like, what's wrong? Are you mad at me? What did I do? And she's like, no, it's not you. It's Jesus. Except she's kind of hysterical. She's about to take her test. So that's all you find out about that. And then, Meredith's called in. She's still trying not to vom because Christina's like, mind over matter, don't vomit. And yeah, that honestly is it. And then you hear Alex's name called. He doesn't make it back in time. Oh, I should also mention that then there's this part where Zola's like sitting there in a bumblebee costume because she apparently threw up over all of her clothes and Derek didn't know what to put her in. And then Derek and Lexi bond over Lexi's love of Mark. So that's it. And that was only 7 minutes.